What is going on, YouTube? Good Wednesday evening. 2 days left in November. And closing out the month. Trying to get over get to your max listings if you have a store. And just closing out the month strong, right? So I wanted to go through how I handle eBay returns, updates on some of the cases I've told you about, and some sold updates. Let's see. Chat's filling up. Hopefully, if you guys can catch the show live, we have a chat going on. You can join the chat. A lot of good, knowledgeable people in the chat that help each other out. They also help each other out in the Facebook group that we have. It's links down below. We like to hear about everyone's wins, about everyone's losses. So it's good to hear what everyone else does. So that's what makes this fun. Let's see what we have down here. Donna, Adam, how you doing? Catherine, Four Oaks, Shane, Demir, Nick, Treasure Hustlers, Michelle, Lara. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Margot, how you doing? All right. So returns. It's things no one likes, right? I don't know about everybody else, but when I get the little notification on your phone that says new message on eBay, my heart goes in my throat. Or if I'm in my email and it says new message about item that ended on, not that is ending, but someone's asking a question or asking something about something that has been sold and shipped, I always get nervous. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, oh no, I'm getting returned. Someone can't get it to work. Someone's not happy. So, but usually when that comes through, start evaluating the situation, right? So that's kind of where these questions come into play, and I kind of want to help you guys, show you guys the process that I do or what I think about. Treasure Hustler says heart stops. Jimma just said her second refund. Left Hook Larry, how do you test your Ring doorbells? Larry, the only thing I do is I plug them in for power. Visually, I inspect to make sure everything's okay, as well as all the pieces. Margot says, I have a Ring doorbell. She wants to buy a Ring doorbell. Wow, Larry might have a buyer. Demir, I had a very bad lot. 5 main items missing. So Demir, I would also, in the PS101 group, reach out to Megan. That sounds like a big one. Ask her to help you out. Let her know you're part of our channel, and she'll take care of that for you, hopefully. No power. So I've sold no power ones before on the Ring doorbells. If it's a $100 item, I'm making numbers up. You could easily probably sell it for about 50. So still sell it. I wouldn't worry. Someone will fix it. Demir says they're mixing junk with returns. Sometimes, yeah. I haven't had a bad one yet, but I get a few duds here and there, but I just break even barely. Hey, Redneck, what's up? All right, so we'll answer some questions as we go through, but returns. So, for example, this one came in, and I got a message, and most of the time, they say they can't get it to work. If they say they can't get it to work, what I do is I make sure I coach them through it. Like I had one person, I think it was 2 days ago, called in and said, or messaged me and said it didn't work. Well, it was Bluetooth headphones, and they couldn't get it to pair correctly with their phone. So annoyingly, after 8 messages later, I coached her through how to pair them with her phone, and she got it to work. So, 80% of the time, for me, it's electronics. It's people not knowing how to use the item. So it's probably in your best interest to communicate with the buyer. I communicate as soon as I get it. It lets them know I'm responsive. I'm not ignoring their issue. And they're usually more amiable when I respond right away. All right, so I got one of these. This was one of the returns I had. And surprisingly tonight, it's one of the solds I have. I sold this originally for about 48, I think 46. I just said flash didn't work. I didn't have any film to test. Well, the buyer said they tried to use it and they got the film. The film would print out black. I didn't know that. So if it's an issue or something that I didn't either test, I didn't know about, I listed wrong, um, something that was out of my control, I almost immediately always accept returns. And in the cases, or I always immediately accept the return. I message them first and I apologize. Sorry for the inconvenience. I will accept a return. A label will follow shortly. But almost in all cases, I will be able to resell it as I did this one. Um, but uh, I mean, I'm just eating return shipping. I mean, granted, it's a couple bucks with the items that I'm getting, but it's almost always better to take the return because you'll be able to resell it. If it's a $4 item, I will tell them to keep it. It's you're going to be negative at that point if you're going to take it back and resell it. The only way I will take a return on a lower priced item is if I know and I can almost uh, undeniably know that it works. I will take it back potentially. It's case by case basis, but um, those little ones I'll most of the time say keep. But for that one, I sent the label. They got the item, and once I send the label, I kind of mentally note that I have a return out there. And if it's a higher price item, I more than mentally note it. Then I will keep tabs every day and say, okay, the return was open Monday. Friday is my deadline. Once Friday hits, either Friday evening or Saturday morning, I immediately call eBay and I say 5 days has passed. There is no, it doesn't say, doesn't say return started. It says shipped. If it does not say shipped, call eBay. They'll close the return and you're done. Usually 90% of the time, my returns are closed out that way. Um, did you say it prints out black this time around when you sold it? Yes. I said 4 parts not working, no returns. So, hey, Carol, what's up? So, if I don't close the item out on a return not started or not shipped, and I do get the item back, what I do then is once I get the item back, I look at the packaging, and again, high percentage of the time they're using the same packaging, so I'm able to see if it's the same thing I sent out because I have eBay tape, and I always put eBay tape on my packaging, so I'll be able to tell, that's mine. If they don't use mine, I can't tell, but I open it up, I'll pull out the item, and what I'll do is I will check the item. I'll check the box, the packaging, make sure it matches the pictures. I'll pull up the listing on the return. I will validate the contents and the condition of the item with the listing. If something isn't missing, or if something's missing, something's not ripped, something's whatever, and you message the buyer immediately and you kind of work it all through there. And this is where I got burned on my last return that was missing an item because I did not get the buyer to put in a message what the issue was, and PayPal, eBay sided with the buyer. But that's a whole different show. I'll go through that. But I make sure 99% of the time all my items are in that box. And then what I do is I will go into the return and I will issue a refund at that point. Never issue a refund unless you have the item or you don't want the item back. If you issue the refund before you get the item back, you are out of luck. So, yeah, always issue the refund when you are sure you have everything you need and you're good to go. I will then, before I back a little bit, before I issue the refund, I will test it if it works. Make sure it powers on. Make sure if there are serial numbers, match the serial number to the listing. You don't want swap outs. You don't want something to happen to not be the same item that you shipped out. Trezor says, if the film is developing blank, we recommend that you check to make sure the shutter is functioning properly in the light 5 mode dials. Yeah, so the light on the front turns left and right. the flash doesn't work, the film does come out, it develops black. I will test it again because I have film now. Um, but it sounds so you're saying it's the shutter. So in that case, yep, I replaced the battery. So this guy, the one that returned it, said, and those are good points for these Instax cameras. And that's as you get items you don't know about, you learn how to work them, you learn how to fix them, you learn what the persistent issue is on them. Maybe you're able to fix them and resell them. So don't get discouraged with returns, especially with electronics on the higher end side of them, because you'll be able to sell them again. But yeah, that's a great point on the lens. I mean, or the shutter. Um, I personally don't want to open it. I kind of, I don't have time to. Most of the time, I don't have time to fix the item. But if it's something little, yeah, I will fix it. Um, so yeah, once you're aware that everything's fixed, everything's there, everything's in the box, you issue the refund, and then you're good to go. And then what I usually do is I relist it. I do sell similar. I want a new listing number, and I keep the same photos, and I say list. I never relist. I always sell similar, and I keep the same photos in there if it's the same item. If it's, for this case, I did sell similar, I kept the same photos, I went in and adjusted the listing. So what I did was I changed to parts not working, and I said no returns. Chris Saunders says sold like that broken. Yep. Sam says, what is better, liquidation or bulk? Personally, I like liquidation. I think it's Nick, if you're still here. I know Nick has good luck with bulk. For my channel, I can't find anything that I like on bulk yet. I want to try them out, but I have not. So once I issue the refund, then I will go into my spreadsheet, and this is, for me, this is important. I will delete out the cost of the money I received. So my spreadsheet reflects the revenue for that is now gone. I will keep the shipping cost in there. I will add in the return shipping cost if I paid for the return label. I delete the eBay listing, and I keep the negative 30 cents on the PayPal listing because PayPal keeps the 30 cents but refunds the rest of it. So I make sure that negative's still in my spreadsheet. Yeah, and I relisted, I'm good to go. But the big thing is, if there's anything a discrepancy between what you sold and shipped out to what you got back, either you work it out with the buyer or you call eBay and do your next steps of opening a case, working it out with the buyer, partially refunding. Sometimes I will partial refund and not take the return. For example, if it's 2 items and they say, those Joy-Con controllers, right? You get a left and a right. Well, the left side I sold to one guy was broken. I said, hey, I'll give you half the cost back. You're able to buy the left side singly for $35. I'll offer a partial refund. In rare cases, I'll do partials. Most of the time, I will just take the return because I have better luck reselling things broken or reselling it due to user error. Anything that I missed that you guys touch on in terms of returns? I know returns are tricky. I learned the hard way with the cases that I just recently had with returns. If you're missing pieces, you have to get the buyer to tell you in the messages what's wrong with the pieces, or that they missed the items coming back. Otherwise, it sounds like eBay will always buy with side with the buyer. So that case, the USB drive I'm out on. So on the return side, I got the buyer had not shipped it back within the 5 days. I got eBay to close it out on day 5. Well, they were somehow still able to ship it back, and I got it back two weeks later. Well, since eBay sided with me, they opened a case as credit needed on PayPal. After we went back through appeals and denials and all that through PayPal, PayPal sided with the buyer in that case and refunded the buyer out of my account, even though eBay sided with me. So I still don't agree that eBay can side with you on one side and then PayPal will take their side on the other. I don't get it. I mean, and then what's the point of the policy then? if, you know, if dad agrees and mom doesn't. So that's crazy. Yes, on returns, you only get eBay involved as the last resort. Yes. So again, metrics will hurt. So if you think about seller dashboard, um, if you look at your seller dashboard, if you go into your seller dashboard and you go into, now keep in mind if you're top rated or not, this will play in. I'm top rated, and I was going to change my title of tonight's show, but the top rated, I don't want to get below top rated. So there's two things that will go against you if eBay sides with the seller. Your transaction defect rate is 1. Um, you cannot be below 0.5%. You will lose your top rated. So keep in mind, if you have 1 or 2, it'll easily take you down if you have, depending on the number of transactions you have. So it's in your seller dashboard. Check that out. The other way it can affect you in your transaction defect rate, there is also transactions you cancel for being out of stock. So those two play against each other in that bucket. The other bucket you got to be aware of is cases closed without seller resolution. So at some point, it's almost better if you just take the return, even though you know you're getting scammed. If it's a cheaper item, just do it, because that bucket is only 0.3%. And that's a rolling 3 months of total transactions. So be careful of those. Keep that in mind when you're looking at defects. 4 defects and your top rated seal is gone. Pretty much. I mean, if you have high percentage of items, potentially it wouldn't hurt. But yeah, I'd say anywhere between 2 and 4 would severely hurt you. Uh, well, you did get both money and product. Yes, true. But they did send it back to me way too late, 2 weeks late. So Margo, I agree with you. What else here? All right. So yeah, keep in mind your seller dashboard. I always tend to look at that just to make sure I'm within those numbers. So those are the only cases that I had. Otherwise, I don't have any cases. Um, I tend to work it out with the buyer. If the buyer, tends to abuse the system or not do what the policy says, then I'll take a harder stance to it. But Chris Saunders, you are correct. Better to think the long game than a couple of bucks today. You are right. I was thinking, what's $40, right? $40 is nothing compared to the amount of product we're selling. So just eat it. You're going to have returns. You're going to have losses. You're going to get scammed if you haven't gotten scammed already. So just try to do the best you can to work it out and don't let it get you down. All right. So last thing, you saw last night what I got in my box. Well, I only sold 3 things last night, which is low for me. I've been selling a lot over the past last couple weeks. I'm pulling up my numbers, but let's see. I mean, I've sold the last couple days. I've sold 4, 7, 5, 12 items. 4, 6, 2, 9, 6, 4, 5, 9. So it's been averaging probably. Where's my average? 6. Average 6 items a day. So last night was only 3. They're high price, which I was surprised. And they were the items I showed you in the box I got last night. All right. So this was the return you saw. I sold this for 36. I'm going to ship that out. You saw this last night, Magic Trackpad 2. Well, it did not power on, it did not pair, and it did not click when you click down on it. So I listed this for $69. Someone bought it. They bought it this morning. And I listed parts not working, no returns. So I was surprised someone bought it. But that's going out. So you think about it. You look on liquidation, you can get these items. If broken, busted, you will be able to sell it. This is your high-priced item. Last thing I sold, one of the first that I've ever received in a box. I've never gotten one of these. I probably will not look for them, but if I happen to get it, I will be able to sell it, just so you know. And it did power on. It did work. It was the bevel trimmer. Now, which was nice about this, it was missing the sleeve on the box, but it had the, hey, Dwayne, thanks for subbing. Thanks. Benji says 30-day returns and 10%. Yep. 10% restocking. One return in 90 days. So it had the UPC on it. It had this. It did not. So it had the power cord and the trimmer. It did not have the oil. It did not have the. I guess there was a couple of other things with it. Four Oak says it may have the warranty. That's true. I didn't look at that, but. And Mario says, unfortunately, eBay makes you take returns. Yes, if the buyer understands how to scan or work the system, let's put it that way, they can probably. Demir says contact. That's the thing too. If I use sell for parts, I contact the buyer to make sure they know what they're getting. All right, so this thing, these sell for about 160, I think, to 170 brand new on eBay. So I listed this for $99.99 and someone bought it. I'll turn it on. So you can see this is the battery down here. So it's a wireless. You could charge it. Has the bottom. It has a plug in the bottom. But other than that, it works. So sold that for $100. All right. Oh, you subbed. They subbed me. Sorry, you subbed Treasure Hustler. I got you. All right. So yeah, sold those two from the lot last night. So it was a cheap lot, so I should easily make my money back. I agree, Demir. I would, but you have a handling issue if they don't message you back. But all right. Thanks, Dwayne. Should have you guys on sometime. I watch you guys. I think it's Friday, Saturday nights that you guys have stuff on. And the 6-pack, I watch that a bunch. All right, everybody. If you have any questions on that, let me know. We've had some good chats the last couple of days in the Facebook group. Keep it going. I like the different experiences you guys are having that we don't get to see in the chat. So, and it's nice that everyone can see what's going on. But if you like the video, hit the thumbs up. Hopefully, I've been able to help you tonight on returns. Feel free to comment below if you're not watching live, or if you are. You know, maybe there's something that you guys do or that would help others that I didn't talk about. So feel free to comment below. If you're not subbed, hit the sub. And hope to hear from you guys soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.